Yano, and welcome to the 1000 subscriber live. And if you see the title, it's exactly what I'm saying. One of you are getting a necklace. And depending on who that number one is, depends on one or two things, not even one or two things. Firstly, let's wait until everybody come up in here. Secondly, I'll handpick exactly who. Actually, I don't want to cherry pick, but anybody who comments, I'll give you all until, matter of fact, let me see if I can do this. Chat filter, no. Okay. I'm gonna just stay. Ooh. Okay. Comment. Let's see. First 100 to comment. Are eligible for free gift. Okay, start Paul. Okay, remember, this right here, this is not a non-negotiable. This is not negotiable, I should say. Meaning, there is a chance for you to have a free gift right now, and only one of you can have a free gift. Reason being is that I have to handcraft this. So, the first 100 to reach up in here to comment. And I'll give you to 15 minutes until we reach there. And by the way, let's go ahead and talk. What are we talking about? Well, when I was taking my shower, let's talk about what would happen if felines were able to speak. Really, any freaking animal. I think any animal has the capacity to basically vibrate their vocal cords to the point where they can simulate speech. Just like parrots and just like ravens. At the same time, I don't think an animal would have that awareness yet. At least until they just realize that they don't have to survive. But yeah, let me know what y'all think. And to any newcomers that come in, hi, hello, the first 100 to comment will be eligible for one free gift. That doesn't mean everybody that comments is getting one free gift. That means one person out of 100. Hold on. Yeah. That means one person out of 100 will get this free gift mailed to you. I'll hit up your Instagram. You let me know your address if you trust me with it. And boom, you get your free gift. And the poll is gonna end at, not even a poll, just when I check the comments, 15 minutes maximum. When that number reaches 15, that's when I'll see. Other than that, any of y'all have a chance to win this free gift. Again, drop y'all Instagram down, especially if y'all are in here and y'all leave and y'all did win, just leave y'all Instagram down. I'll make sure I read it. I'll make sure I get back to you. So yeah. 1,000 subscribers, it took way too long. I'm gonna be so for real with you. It took way too long. But wouldn't have been possible without you guys. So first and foremost, thank you all who joined me on my journey. Know that no matter what, God will always have favor for y'all, especially if y'all are of the pure hearts. Always remember that no matter what you're going through, you can achieve and do whatever you want. And again, one more before I get into the topic so that we don't have to reiterate this. One person out of the 100 who comments will get a free gift that I will mail you personally. So, drop your Instagrams, because just in case you leave, I'll make sure to read it and get it back to you. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about spiders. Well, yeah, for real. How they're not really even bugs, they're just arachnids. which are interesting, right? Like you'd think of it as like a bug. It's small, it's crawly, and it's a bug, right? Until you really just look at it. They have their own subset of species, just like every other animal. Insect, not animal. Huh. What would make a spider different from a bug? I'd have to look that up and see what the scientists have classified as the right reason or the explanation. But yeah, I feel like they could, but that would mean that you would also have to consider bees as their own subspecies too. You know, just range. Hmm. Hmm. Range. I have to really look into how many spiders varieties there are versus how many bug varieties there are. Because this is something truly that I have to really reimagine. Mm. But this conversation ain't flowing like the way I want it to. So, again, back to science because I love to talk about science. And before I continue, remember the first 100 to comment, you will be eligible to receive a gift, meaning 1 out of 100 will get a free gift. Leave your Instagram in the comment section. I will get it back to you. Remember, at 15, that's when I'm gonna close it. Meaning I'm gonna check all the comments, write y'all names down. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get that list, write y'all names down, randomize it, and whoever gets it, you're lucky. I'm gonna hit you up on Instagram. And again, with science, I don't like to start with that with science. Let's talk about tube resonance. It's the only thing I can really talk about that. Right? Like it's kinetic resonance, but you're also compressing air, and that air is moving through it. It's a strong enough pressure wave if you really think about it. Like when you hit this, it's like you're kind of creating a shock wave that's propagating throughout the entire tube until it exits. And it's so strong to the point where it can resonate backwards. Well, reverberate backwards. Let me see. If you're close enough, you can feel the. Oh. Here's a neat trick for y'all. Whenever y'all are playing a loud sound, put that phone right to your face. Wherever your speaker is, whether it's the top or the bottom, put the phone to your freaking face. You will feel air. You will feel air come out of it. And that's because of the way that the speaker is shaped so that air can propagate so that it can produce a louder sound. However, because it's enclosed inside of a closed chamber in a closed up sealed space, instead of it not only producing louder sounds, it's also producing air as well. And you'll feel that. Like that's the main proof that I can give you. Like play a loud sound or a loud song. Don't put it to your ear, but put it on your face somewhere and you will feel it. And it's strange because it shows that sound waves can create wind when you are able to place it into a constrained like chamber and it has nowhere else to move, but it's still able to generate those wide range amount of pressure. And I kind of like that. And it's the same with this though, right? Just add a diaphragm on there, 2 of them at that. One with a hole and one without one. You extend it and then you're gonna feel air come out that one region. Yeah. Because when you do that, pull it back, air fills in, you let go of the diaphragm, and as it retracts to its equilibrium, it compresses the air that is sucked in, creating pressure and pushing out air through the output. Huh. Right. That's a neat trick though. Whenever you feel confused about what you're saying, just allow yourself to speak and get your words out because it is right. But the way you articulate and really propagate your words is how it'll come out. And it'll be like, okay, am I saying this right? But let me keep going because I know it sounds off. And then you do it and you realize, huh, I was saying it correctly. Just wasn't the way that I wanted it. And I wonder how heat would affect sound. Right? Because sound waves are nothing but air pressure waves. And if you expand the gas via heat, that would make it slower. Right? You would think that it would make it faster, but because it can't molecularly connect with the other air molecules, because each and every one of those air molecules are moving everywhere, they won't really do anything like that. Which is why sound waves are able to travel farther and faster in water and solids like this one. Which is why when you hit it, you're able to hear a louder sound versus when you snap your fingers and you barely can hear it. That's because sound waves travel faster the closer the atoms are. Because it's like a compression like wave, which is exactly how you can take a copper wire and two aluminum cans, you can talk into one and your friend can hear it. That's how. Because the medium into which sound waves travel, you're able to hear the sound waves. Because the wire and the aluminum can are both solids. Now, granted, that doesn't mean you can talk inside of some wood, and on the other side of that piece of wood, you'll hear it. It doesn't work like that. The properties into which the solid operates on is what'll allow for sound waves to really propagate better, you know? So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Now, unless you were to have pressurized air inside of a container, you heat it up and then you press sound waves. Then you play sound waves in it, right? Like, you don't change the volume, you only change the conditions that affect it. I gotta check that. But let's pause for a moment. Let's see what time we're on. Okay, last call. Oh my God, I just seen that. Thank you. But bro, not even bro, but anybody that's just now coming in here, the time for the free gift is almost closing up. Place your Instagrams in the comment section. You will be eligible for a free gift. Just comment your Instagram, I'll hit you up. 1 out of 100 will be able to get this one free gift. And I'll let you know when it comes through. So yeah, we're almost at that time. So let's get started into it. So now, back into the sound wave resonance and acoustics, you put the same amount of air and energy. Hold on. There's baking soda here though. Don't know why they're flying. When you place sound waves inside of a pressurized container and you heat the inside of it, the effects may be unpredictable to say the least. Because while yes, in low pressure regions and areas, sound waves can't travel as fast, you also have a container that doesn't allow for air to really expand and move everywhere. It's basically like having a group of people in a small room bunched up together and them just staying in place versus a bunch of people trying to run everywhere in that small room, but they can't go anywhere. That's basically what you're doing with pressurized air and heat. When you pressurize the air and the air has nowhere to go, and you also heat it up, and it can still handle that pressure, it's basically like the air molecules are still in place, but they have more energy. And so now when you apply a sound wave inside of there, now the sound wave is more powerful. Now you can move more things with it. Now you can create more work and more force with that same amount of energy input that you would have been put into it if you didn't pressurize it and if you didn't really heat up the internal container into which the sound wave will be affecting on the inside. There we go. Slow down the next time when you're speaking too. But yeah, that's how you can maximize wind. Huh. Really talking to y'all can help me out on certain projects too. Right? Like, I was like, why is it that heat is so important? Why is it my ancestors are showing me that heat is important for this if heat basically allows sound waves to be slower or to change the frequency and the tune of it? And then as soon as I started talking to y'all, I started to put the pieces together. It's like, huh, if you have ambient air inside of a rigid chamber that doesn't flex nor move, and you heat the inside of it, like, yeah, kinetic movement will be applied to the air molecules, but because they have nowhere else to go, they're just gonna be shaking, basically, violently vibrating. And then you add just one small input of a sound and audible audio wave. Oh yeah, most definitely. You will be able to create an effect that is so strong from one tiny input of a sound wave that is being amplified by the chamber that is pressurized and heated up constantly. And once you do that, the effects could be enormous. Hold on. Like, the effects could be enormous because of that. Like, I didn't even realize that until I just started talking to y'all. Yeah. But we're gonna talk about these sound wave physics later. Now, it's time to write down y'all names. Let's see. As of now, anybody after... Ooh, hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Southern MOFO, because you actually owned to something. I mean, everybody been saying it. It wasn't even just Yeshua and Yahweh, or God and Jesus that you call them. Everybody say that. Well, at least I know from the base of my knowledge that Egyptians said that someone spoke the reality into being. And so I've been having a theory about this, that everything in our universe ain't nothing but pressure and electromagnetism. Because we are, everyone, our bodies, solids, liquids, gases, colors, light, everything is electromagnetism. Especially heat and energy, that is also electromagnetism. And so when you realize everything is also pressurized differently, you also see how everything is connected via pressure and electromagnetism and electrostatics too. Because electrostatics has electromagnetism as its subcategory or its subset, into which electrostatics are passive, electromagnetics are dynamic, which is why you're able to see it. But let's continue this later. Okay, Ronnie. See, Tuck, 67. Okay. Let's see. Ali, Ahmad. Haidar. Cookie Eater. Hello, Cookie Eater. Okay, Julia. Unique name. I ain't gonna judge, but Mr. Spampton. And Southern. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 1 out of the 7 of you will be getting something free. And I want we're gonna let fate decide y'all fate. We shall allow chance to really, again, I am doing this on live. I wonder. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that is really uneven. You know what? No. I'm not gonna do that. Just know that 1 out of 7 of you will be able to receive something free. It'll be a necklace. It will most definitely be a necklace, but even more though. But let's finish up these sound wave physics. Last time we left off with explaining how heat and pressure, really we left off with how y'all are helping me by just sitting here and listen, or just me just talking. Just allows me to really bring everything and the answers into existence. So now the only thing that I have to ask is, what chamber would allow me to basically have a bunch of air be pressurized while also being able to heat it up without combustion? Because if you know anything about heat and compressed air, you know that you will get an accidental jet engine if you're not careful. So now the question remains, what type of medium would I be able to really do this in? Not a medium, but a container of some sorts, right? Stainless steel is the most promising one, like a stainless steel bucket. But that would mean I'd have to weld it too, into which I can probably buy some welding equipment, but who's trying to do all that? Plastics could work, but remember, I'm trying to heat up the entire structure. Plastic and heat do not work well together. Neither does styrofoam. Fiberglass. That's only used, I wouldn't say that's only used, but I'd prefer if it was reinforced. Like if it was reinforcing something like stainless steel. Carbon fiber, same exact thing. You don't need much to really generate carbon fiber. Resin, absolutely not. Unless you get heat resistant resin, maybe. I feel like, logically speaking, stainless steel, resin, fiberglass, as well as carbon fiber. Yeah, you can place them together. You can place them together into a strong enough chamber, or at least a reinforcement thereof. No matter if the plastic melts or just somehow stays miraculously the same. Even if the stainless steel melts. See, that ain't the only issue. The only issue isn't really about the material itself, but whether or not it will be able to handle pressure. A material has to not only be able to be heat resistant, but has to be able to handle a whole bunch of pressure. Because if it can't hold pressure, that thing will go kablooey. Which is why plastic is out of the question for this type of design. Stainless steel, especially tin coated stainless steel, ooh, that's a bit iffy. Cast iron could work. Yeah, cast iron could work. That's way too heavy. And we also have to, well, really, I also have to find something that's heat resistant, lightweight, and is able to handle high PSIs. Something like a tire, like a heat resistant tire. You feel what I'm saying? I can fill it up with however much I have, and then all I gotta do is just basically heat up the entire thing with the compressed gas already in there. Huh. Hold on for a moment. Yeah, got him. These flies trying to be annoying. Somebody annoyed right now because these flies went out here earlier. Somebody annoyed like a mug. But yeah, but yeah, a material has to be able, when shaped, handle high psi, be lightweight, as well as heat resistant. And the only thing that I could really think of is something like a heat resistant balloon. Really silly, but that's the best way I can describe it because you can put pressurized air in a balloon and then you can heat it up. Only issue is if you heat it up from the inside, it goes pop. Silicone could do it. Ooh, it could. But remember, it does also heat up though. At the same time, they do have silicone mats that don't burn. Maybe. Hold on. If you take silicone, turn it into a balloon, blow it up, and you heat it up from the inside, it should be able to do it. Again, the only reason I don't... Wait a minute. Do you know how solid plastics are? That just made me realize how solid plastics are. You feel what I'm saying? Like, plastics are so solid, but they're metallic. Not even they're metallic. Their atomic bonds are so closely packed together. But when you melt it, it kind of loosens those metallic bonds, into which they expand slightly outwardly. You turn that into a gas, they expand exponentially. And so, with solids, especially with plastics and styrofoam too, like what really depends and really affects how a structure is and how it behaves is really the air gaps that you allow. And now we're getting into how it can work with styrofoam. You see how everything always connects? Because with freaking styrofoam, that's nothing but plastic pumped with tiny bubbles of air. That's all styrofoam has ever been. Which is why whenever you crack it open, you always see those gaps and be like, huh, how did they get there? That's why, and that's how. Styrofoam is just nothing but plastic or a specific type of poly material, either polyethylene, polypropylene, etc. And I think those are the ones that can also harden, but because people want insulation and they don't want to waste it. And again, I have to really research this, especially with the poly material like polyethylene, polypropylene, polystyrene, really. The most important one that's most common in every household. Think paper plates, paper cups, etc. Like, what are their atomic bonds if air wasn't pumped into each other to form those type of styrofoam, those polypropylene mesh materials, and everything in between, right? Like, how and what would that type of material be? And is this something like this, right? And what's the melting point of it? Because the melting point could be extremely low and the melting point could be extremely high. I honestly don't know until I really go look it up. Meaning I would have to really look up the temperature into which it can withstand before it starts melting. And once I do that, I can really be like, okay, I can use this material. I honestly don't know. Go check something out. Oh yeah, Southern mofo. Oh, oh, you locked in. Oh, I know you know. Hey, we know. Trust. Hey, no joke. We already know about this. Because I'm not discussing this for no reason. I'm not going into the philosophical reasons of this. But yeah, you are 100% right. Don't think you're wrong. You are 100% right. But dang. What type of material is so heat resistant, but it's also a poly material that can be shaped, that is soft, heat resistant, can handle high PSI, and can allow for a person to experiment with such? And please don't nobody mention 3D printers. None that I know of aside from metal 3D printers can fit the build. And even still, metal is not even these poly materials, which is so hilarious because poly materials are nothing more but hydrocarbons placed in specifically different bonds. I wouldn't even say hydrocarbons. I know it's hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and I think either argon. It ain't ammonia though. There's some type of other element inside of that that turns it into polystyrene, polypropylene, which makes it a poly molecule. But the element is not what makes it a poly molecule, it's the molecular chain thereof, meaning the molecule chain is parallel. If I remember it correctly, like, I'd have to fact check myself because if I'm right, then that means that the molecular chain is parallel. Just like how you can have a molecule chain, when you flip it looks exactly the same, but you can't rotate it so that it could be the same exact molecule. Oh, I am getting way too deep into the science. Okay, focus here. Wrap up this. So, in order for me to test out my theory on whether or not this is going to be powerful, a material has to fit these criteria. It has to be able to handle high PSI. It has to handle extreme temperatures of heat. It also has to be elastic and stretchable so that it can be filled up. And the material has to be either stainless steel that's coated with fiberglass and carbon fiber, or it has to be a poly material that fits the criteria of the first three. Elastic in nature, can handle high PSI and high heat, and can also be shaped and carved. Again, you really don't know how much you really have. You really don't know what specifics you really want until you really just say it and speak it into existence. And maybe that's why I really haven't went for anything. The last time I tried to do these experiments, the last time was with a pipe like this. Tried it with extreme heat, that mug melted. Smelled like freaking feces and fecal matter. Still, that just showed me that PVC pipes, unless they are made out of a certain material that is heat resistant, is not the best to go with this. Yeah. I keep forgetting, PVC pipes are electrostatic. We haven't really talked about how electrostatics in nature really affect sound waves. Huh. Wait a minute. Wait, hold on. We've never taken into consideration how electrostatics affect sound waves. That's very important. Hold on. Wait a minute. Potential electric energy in a space, no matter if it's a material that I rubbed on my face or on my hair, or just a DC source that's converted into electrostatic energy, and you push a sound wave through it. Huh. Electric pressure. Hold on. No one has ever studied this. Wait a minute. How are we supposed to know what's right or wrong? Matter of fact, hold on. I gotta leave. I gotta go. This is something that I have to look deeper into. Electric pressure. As always, stay peaceful, blessed up, miracle up, and know that you will appreciate what's taken care of by the divine and wonderful Allah high source. God is ways everyone that truly and genuinely and deeply cares about you deep within their souls. Always remember that here you are loved, we care about you here. No one else does, we do. I do know that no matter what, we always here to give you that listening ear. Don't worry about this accent. I don't even know what language this is. Always remember that community tab is always on my YouTube. Hit it up. We'll listen to you when you want to be listened to, or if you want a person to just hear you out. We're here for you when you need us. Okay? Don't forget to smile today. Okay? Now come in for this hug. Yeah, come in. And as always, I say peace out, adios. And before I go, I will hit y'all up personally. And I hope y'all commented y'all Instagrams. And if not, I'll get to y'all a day later. But I say peace out, adios.